Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about who you surround yourself with is who you become. So there's a quote that I like that I think I heard from Tony Robbins first, and he said something like, "You are most like the 5 people you consistently spend your time with." So if you're like the 5 people you spend most of your time with, then who are you, right? That's a good question to ask yourself. If I am like the 5 people I spend most of my time with, then who am I as a person, right? So you have to be very careful basically with who you are associating with, because if you're trying to achieve things, or you're trying to become successful at something, or perhaps you're even just trying to like succeed at different things, like you're trying to quit smoking, or you're trying to quit drinking, or you're trying to cut back on the calories that you're eating, right? But if you spend a lot of time with people who smoke, people who drink, people who eat lots of junk food, right? You've got to be careful with those things, right? And it may not just be for those reasons, it could also be for in terms of success. Like, let's say you've got these big goals and these big dreams, but the people you spend most of your time with don't, right? Then what you've got to realize is that I'm going to be like these people. It's very likely that these people are going to influence me enough to the degree that I'm not going to actually be able to achieve the things that I want to achieve. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to start cutting people out of your life. Of course not. Sometimes it is good to do that if, let's say, you've got a really bad association. So, for example, the one of the big ones was like for people who are alcoholics, right? And they go to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And a lot of their friends outside of that support group, in their daily lives, are alcoholics. So it's going to be very difficult for that person to remain sober if they are surrounded with people who drink lots of alcohol, right? So obviously that's a very extreme, serious case, right? And it's probably a good idea for that person to spend less time with those people who drink a lot, right? So I'm not saying you need to cut people out unless it's really, really detrimental. But what you got to realize is that you got to start spending less time with those people somehow, right? You just got to distance yourself. You can still be friends with them, because especially if they're like really close friends who you've known for a long time, or they're family members, who you can't really just cut yourself off from completely because you love them, you care about them, etc., right? So with that being said, right, it's a good idea then to find new people who you can surround yourself with, who are more in alignment with your goals. So one of the things that I started to do, because I didn't really have anyone around me who wanted the same things that I wanted, and I still don't really have people around me who are trying to achieve the things I'm personally trying to achieve in my own life. So what I do instead is I find role models. I find role models on the internet, I read their books, I listen to their interviews, I listen to any audiobooks that they've got, any lectures that they've done, because that's how I can surround myself with like-minded people, right? Because I don't tend to have them in my sphere, right? There are some people obviously in my life that I respect for other reasons, and I'm glad that they're in my life, and all of those things. Like there's many people in my family, and I've got a couple of friends as well who I admire for different reasons, but it's not the same. But they're just not on the same path as what I am. You could say. So, like I say, you don't need to cut people out of your life, but you do need to find people who are achieving or have already achieved the things that you want to achieve, and start consuming their content, especially if you can find them online, right? Because a lot of the time we may not have the people around us that we want to become, right? Because I remember when I was still living with my parents and things like that, like when I was in my early 20s, this is when I started to really change my life and switch things up for myself. I'm 31 now. And one of the things that I started to do was I started to listen to lectures, like motivational CDs by these people that I really like the main ones that I can think of in terms of personal development at the time was I was listening to a lot of Jim Rohn, and I was listening to a lot of Tony Robbins, because I knew that I wanted to be some kind of coach. I wanted to talk about personal development and things on that scale. And that's who I started to listen to and consume, because they were the best that I could think of who had achieved the things that I was hoping to achieve, or at least talk about. They were talking about the things that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to learn, that I wanted to master. So I just started listening to those guys all the time, and because I had listened to them so much, and I was consuming so much of their books and the content that they've made over the years, the motivational CDs that they've created, and programs and stuff, I started to get a lot of really good information into my head, and I started to be able to speak like them, and understand the things that they understood, and learn and know the things that they know, right? And I started to become more like them to a degree. Obviously, you're still you. It's not like you're mimicking or you're becoming a parrot of the people that you admire, but it's more about integrating what you learn from those into your personality, and making it unique and putting your own twist on things, right? So it's not about copying, it's about having them influence you in a way, right? And learning from them, right? So you can create something new almost, right? So that's my own personal story and that kind of thing, because I didn't have anyone around me who was like that. I didn't have anyone around me who I wanted to really be like in that way, right, in terms of my career and the things that I wanted to personally achieve. So I had to go out and seek them myself, which is something that I suggest you do if you don't have anyone around you who maybe, the people around you, you may respect them, you really love and care about them, but if they're not doing the things that you want to do, then you have to realize that, hey, I need to find people, maybe famous people who have achieved the things that you would want to achieve, and integrate what they're, start basically consuming their content and integrating what they're saying into your life somehow, listening like an hour a day, or maybe even just half an hour to the stuff that they are talking about. So it becomes more of who you are, and it keeps your mind fresh, and it keeps but you basically on the right path, right? That's what you want to do. You want to stay on the path that you want to be on. And sometimes if you're around people who are not wanting the same things as you, it can derail you off your path, and you don't want that, okay? So you got to surround yourself with people that you want to be like, even if those people are just online or it's just through their books. But obviously, it's also good to actually make friends, and meet actual people who you can, hang out with, who are trying to achieve these things too. But that's a lot more difficult than, finding people online. But I do highly recommend that you try your best to find people who are like-minded, who you can actually hang out with, who are in your area. Like there could be like events, like say if you want to be like a really good runner, right? Then obviously it's a good idea to sign up to local running events, right? Sometimes you might even find like running groups on like Facebook and stuff that you can join that are local to your area, it's things like that, right? And you'll be able to find people who actually, who run a lot, who exercise in that way a lot, and maybe who do marathons and stuff. And then if you can hang out with those people, you can start to be more like them, okay? So you have to be very aware then of the power of associations, because associations it's one of those things that influences you greatly, right? It really does, right? And you have to understand that if you hang around people who are not aligned with your goals, right? And maybe to a worse degree, they're actually going against what you're trying to achieve. Like, let's say the more extreme version of that example I used earlier, of that person who is trying to become sober, but they hang around with alcoholics, right? Or people that drink a lot of alcohol. Right, it's very difficult for it's going to be very difficult for that person to stay sober, right? So you don't want to be hanging around people that are definitely going against your goals, right? It's okay to obviously hang around people who may have different, who you respect, but have different sort of missions in life or whatever. But it's really important that you stay away or spend less time with those people who are going against your goals, who are going to derail you. It's extremely important that you do that, because the power of association is extremely powerful, especially if you love and care about these people and you're easily influenced, right? Because I'm a person who's easily influenced. It's very, I hate that about me, but I am very easily influenced. So if I know for a fact that if I hanged around loads of people who drank alcohol, then I would more likely drink alcohol. Right? If I hang out with people who eat and lots of junk food, I'm more likely to eat junk food. I know that I have that influence in me. Maybe you've got more strong, I guess you could, maybe willpower. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but maybe you've got that and you're very good at sticking to your guns. But I know for me that I need to distance myself somewhat from those people, right? So it's a good idea to know yourself and things like that. So that's my thoughts on who you surround yourself with is who you become. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christinelovers.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.